All right, all praise, glory, and honor is most certainly to the Most High Elohim of the patriarchs Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. And I want to say peace to you in the name of his son, Yahushua HaMashiach, who we know Jesus the Christ. It is always a blessing each and every single time that I can come before you to preach the word, to bring a message that's contained in the word, and never do I count it as a light thing to do so. All right, brothers and sisters. Today's message is concerning Cain and Abel, and ultimately the establishment of a righteous seed. Um, when you read the Bible, you understand that there are basically two lineages, and I'm speaking spiritually here. There are those, like for example, they are the sons of God, but then there's another seed. Just to show you that, let's go to John, and we'll pick it up in John chapter 8 and verse 44. Notice what he told the Yahudim at this time. He says, this is the Mashiach speaking. He said, ye are of your father, the devil, and the lust of your father ye will do. He was a murderer from the beginning and abode not in the truth, because there is no truth in him. When he speaketh a lie, he speaketh of his own, for he is a liar and the father of it. But now, what did they say? They said Abraham was their father. He tells you that in the 39th verse. Yes, Abraham was their natural father, but they didn't do the works of Abraham, and they spiritually were after that wicked one. So there are two seeds that he established, and you see the righteous seed and the unrighteous seed. We'll get to the intermingling of those seeds and see what took place later. But when he tells you this in Psalms, the 82nd division, that ye are God's children of the Most High God, he's speaking to the potential of man, and he is also speaking about your lineage spiritually. Okay, he's also said you die like men and fall like one of the princes. See, he made you be what he is, but people, what has happened ultimately is people are making a decision who they are going to serve. So now we're going to look at Genesis, the 4th chapter. We're going to look at Cain and Abel. We're going to look at and how the righteous seed was established and what made him righteous, and ultimately what the righteous experience that began with Abel, and how righteousness, even though he came to his demise, righteousness because at the hand of his brother, the righteous seed would be reestablished. Let's pick it up in Genesis 4, and we'll pick it up at verse 1. Genesis 4:1 reads, and Adam knew Eve his wife, and she conceived and bare Cain, and said, I have gotten a man from the Lord. And she again bare his brother Abel. So you have two, Cain and Abel. Now to this relationship between this man and this woman, they brought forth children. Okay, which is what man and the woman are supposed to do. So they had Cain and Abel. It says, and she again bare his brother Abel, and Abel was a keeper of sheep, but Cain was a tiller of the ground. And in process of time, it came to pass that Cain brought of the fruit of the ground an offering unto the Lord. See, they knew how they were supposed to worship. That was manifested unto man. So he brings an offering unto the Lord because, and people look at this and say, well, something was wrong. He wasn't supposed to bring that, but you bring what you work in. That's what you would do. So he brought this of the ground, but it said Abel, he also brought of the firstlings of his flock and of the fat thereof, right? You can read about the fat later when the offerings. And he said, and the Lord had respect unto Abel and to his offering. Okay, so now that's a good thing. When the Lord, let's go to hold our finger here and go to Proverbs, the 3rd chapter. That's a blessing when the Lord will accept your offering. This is Proverbs 3 and verse 9. It says, honor the Lord with thy substance and with the first fruits of all thine increase. See, that's the issue. Because if you read, we would have kept reading in Genesis 4 and verse 5, that next verse, it says, but unto Cain and to his offering he had not respect, and Cain was very wroth and his countenance fell. What was the issue? The issue was something was wrong with his offering, because he tells you, honor the Lord with thy substance and with the first fruits of all thine increase. And what will happen if you do that? So shall thy barns be filled with plenty, and thy presses shall burst out with new wine. See, you have to give him his best, your best. He does and what that is, when you do sacrifice your best, that is an acknowledgement that it all comes from him anyway. The earth is the Lord's and the fullness thereof, the world and they that dwell therein. This all belongs to him, in which he's made us stewards over. We acknowledge him by making those sacrifices at that particular time. It is not as if he needs something from us. So we think about, why do that? it is an acknowledgement of who he is and what he has done. And he is the ultimate source of all our substance. He is the source of life. So we honor him in that capacity. That's what you, but you wouldn't give him anything just like us. You don't want just anything, right? Somebody give you, for example, let's say somebody gives you a gift. Hey, I got you some shoes, and you pull them out of the box, and the shoes is two different shoes. One is a 9.5, one is 11. They look like they've been running through the sewer in these shoes. They stink, no shoelaces. And they say, "Here you go." You wouldn't accept that, right? And that's you, just a man. I'm just a man. But now you thinking about the one who is almighty. You have become with your best. That's like even, and we understand, for example, that the Passover lamb, we understand at that point into Christ why it had to be perfect, without blemish and without spot. But none of the sacrifice, you couldn't offer something that had a blemish in it to the Lord. You couldn't, oh, I'm gonna keep the best sheep for myself, and I'm gonna give him this one that's missing a leg. You can't do that. You cannot do that. Even when you think about David, when he was trying to get the threshing floor for the Lord, the man told him, "I'll give it to you for free." He said, "I'm not taking anything free that's to the Lord. It's gonna cost me something." Okay, and so that's what. Let's go to Numbers or Exodus. Excuse me. This is what you would do. So you honor with your first, with your best, and then he also, this is Exodus 13. Not Exodus 13. Hold on one second. I said Exodus, but I think it's Numbers. Hold on one second. This is Numbers 16. There you go. Numbers 16 and verse 15. This is an example. Notice what the Lord said. See, because he doesn't have to accept just anything from you. And here's an example of when Moses, he's asking the Lord not to accept the offering of some people. He said, because even when you think about even your offering, even if your offering is right, if you are not acting right, or if your heart is not right, the Mashiach tells you, if you have out with your brother, leave your offering and go deal with your brother. Make amends with him. See, because it has to be done in the right spirit. It says in verse 15, number 16 and 15, and Moses was very wroth and said unto the Lord, respect not thou their offering. I have not taken one ass from them, neither have I hurt one of them. Now he's talking about Korah in this regard. Okay, when he rebelled. But now let's go back to Genesis 4 and verse 5. It says, but unto Cain and to his offering he had not respect. Again, he doesn't have to respect your offering. Like if you in sin, he doesn't want to. If you steeped in sin and you talking about you gonna make an offering to the Lord, he's not trying to accept your offering. You're irritant unto him when you do that. So he says, I dealt with some of that in the Torah study that we had yesterday. But it says, and Cain was very wroth, and his countenance fell. So now he got angry, but and he's gonna take it out on his brother, and that's what happens, and that happens to the saints today. Why does that happen? That happens because when you do things the right way, and somebody else doesn't in your worship, they get upset with you, and you wonder what did I do? You show it can be done. It convicts them. Now, if they don't have a repentant heart, it doesn't convict them in the proper way in which it should to turn from wickedness, but rather they get angry with you. It's like if the teacher in the class, and then one of the students say, teach about to end class, and then one of the students who is studious and responsible says, excuse me, teacher, are you going to collect the homework? Other people in the class that didn't do their homework, how do you think they're looking at you? They're hot. They mad. They angry at you because you did your homework. And the teacher said, I almost forgot. Thank you. Come on, turn it in. And you the only one to turn it in, and everybody else didn't do their homework. They're angry at you for why you do that. Why you say something to the teacher? Why'd you do that? Why didn't you do your homework? That's what he's telling them here. It says in verse 6, because he's mad and his countenance fell. And the Lord said unto Cain, why art thou wroth? And why is thy countenance fallen? If thou doest well, shalt thou not be accepted? If you do what you're supposed to do, you won't have any problems. Like the kid that did, if you do your homework, what's the problem? He said, and if thou doest not well, sin lieth at the door. If you don't do your homework, F will be your portion, right? So it said, and unto thee shall be his desire, and thou shalt rule over him. Okay, but Cain did not take heed to this. So what did he do? It said, and Cain talked with Abel his brother, and it came to pass when they were in the field that Cain rose up against Abel his brother and slew him. He killed his brother. Okay, now I want to pick it up in Matthew the 23rd chapter, because I want you to pay attention to something that the Messiah said here. This is Matthew 23, and we'll pick it up at verse 34. He said, wherefore, behold, I send unto you prophets and wise men and scribes. So now those are the men that he sent to tell the people what they should do, and they refuse. And some of them, it says, ye shall kill and crucify. Now he's talking about persecution. And some of them shall ye scourge in your synagogues and persecute them from city to city. So that's what happened. That's happened throughout the history of Israel, even going all the way back here to Cain and Abel. That's happened. It happened in the first age. It's going to happen wholesale again if you keep living. But it said that upon you, it's going to happen whether you living or not, but you may see it if you keep living. So it said that upon you may come all the righteous blood shed upon the earth. Notice what it says here. So that bloodshed is coming up you. It says, unto the blood of Zacharias, son of Berechias, whom ye slew between the temple and the altar. But it took you all the way back to, it said, righteous Abel. Now you can read about Zechariah in 2 Chronicles 24. How he was unjustly murdered because he spoke the truth. But now let's go to Hebrews. Because what was it with this? I wanted to read this because he tells us about faith here, and in chapter 11 of Hebrews, he talks about Abel and what he did. It said, by faith, Abel offered unto God a more excellent sacrifice than Cain, by which he obtained witness that he was righteous. He did what he was supposed to do. Nevertheless, he slew him. It said, God testifying of his gifts, and by it he being dead, yet speaketh. Shown by what he did. Let's keep reading, because this is something we need to understand. We need to understand. Let's go to 2 Timothy. This is 2 Timothy. Give me 1 second here. Because this is something that when you're following the Lord, he tells you that those things happen to his servants. He told you in one place when he's making his prior to his passion, he makes intercession. He says, he talking about the servants. He said, I've given them thy word, and the world hath hated them. Right. So now here, what does Paul write to Timothy? He says in verse 10, 3 and 10, but thou hast fully known my doctrine, manner of life, purpose, faith, long suffering, charity, patience. He says persecutions, afflictions which came unto me at Antioch, at Iconium, at Lystra, were persecutions I endured, but out of them all the Lord delivered me. Then he goes on to say, yea, and all that live godly in Christ Jesus shall suffer persecution. Talking about the kingdom of God, he said that the violent take it by force. This is the norm. So what was going on in the book in Genesis with Abel, Cain and Abel, that's something that believers, the servants of the Lord, that's what they experience. Persecution. And this is the first act of persecution. Okay, the first murder, if you will. So now, and of course, Cain is cursed. And so now what you have, though, is the righteous seed cut off. So now you only have an unrighteous seed. So now you have a separation. Okay, and then you go on, and Adam knew. I'm going to skip down to verse 25. It said, and Adam knew his wife again, and she bare a son and called his name Seth. Now, and that Seth, it means appointed. See, names mean something in the Bible. But nevertheless, it said, for God says she hath appointed me another seed instead of Abel, whom Cain slew. Another seed. And when you look at the lineage, you see, and I'm gonna show you this. You don't see Cain in that lineage. Well, you're like, well, why is Cain not in the lineage? Because he's of a different seed. One second here. We'll pick it up at 1 second. One second. So let's go to the New Testament here. And then we'll come back to the book of Genesis. Let's go to Luke 3. Luke 3. And we'll pick it up. Oh, maybe not. Hold on 1 second. No, it's not Luke. Hold on 1 second. Forgive me. Let me find it real. Oh, no, it's Luke. It's Luke 3. So now he goes to the genealogy of the Mashiach, right? Just to let you know that in Luke 3 and 23, he says, and Jesus, or Yehoshua himself, began to be about 30 years of age, being as was supposed the son of Joseph, which was the son of Heli. So he goes all the way down, right? Then he's going to take you all the way back. So we're not going to read all of this lineage, but he tells you in he takes you all the way back to Genesis. He says, I'm going to pick it up at verse 37, which was the son of Methuselah, which was the son of Enoch, which was the son of Jared, which was the son of Melchiel, which was the son of Cain, which was the son of Enos, which was the son of Seth, which was the son of Adam, which was the son of God. See, it's a different seed. Okay? So now that's why Seth is important, because Seth is reestablishing that righteous seed. Right? It doesn't say Cain was the son of God. And we'll look further later in this separation and this intermingling of seed. But now he said of two lineages. But it says in verse 26 in Genesis 4 in verse 26, and to Seth, to him also there was born a son, and he called his name Enos. Now we just read Enos, which means like humanity. Then it says, then men began to call upon the name of Yahuwah. That's what it says when it says of the Lord. So they knew the Lord's name. Okay. So now I wanted to just point that out, and how you had the cutting off of that righteous seed with Abel, and then the reestablishment of that seed with Seth. And that is important, because notice what it took you back to Adam. And even though Adam fell, he's considered the son of God. Again, as Paul said, we are his offspring. Again, as the psalmist said, ye are God's children of the Most High God. And if that be true, that has great implications for us. If we stay the course and do what we're supposed to do, we can awake with our likeness and be what he is. And with that, brothers and sisters, I want to remind you that we at the House of the Faith meet every Sabbath at 5925 West 25th Avenue in Gary, Indiana at 1 p.m. Central Time. We live stream right here on the Israel Teach YouTube channel. We also meet in Stafford, Virginia. Our Stafford, Virginia congregation meets at the Red Roof Inn, 153 Garrisonville Road, Stafford, Virginia at 12:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And with that, brothers and sisters, I want to say peace to everybody that's listening. And it is always my prayer that you edify.